That was Mirror by Norwegian pop sensation Sigrid. She shot to fame in 2017 following the release of her debut EP, Don't Kill My Vibe. She went on to win the BBC Music Sound of 2018 and tour around the world. The 2019 release of her debut album, Sucker Punch, confirmed her place in pop stardom, and she just released a new single. You just heard a little bit of it there, Mirror. And she joins me virtually to talk about it. Sigrid, it's so nice to have you on the show. We just heard a little bit of your new single there, Mirror. It talks a lot about self-acceptance, self-love. What is it about these themes that made you want to explore them in this song?
Thank you so much for having me here. Mirror is about accepting who you are. And for me, it's a very personality-based song. For me, we wrote the song because I needed to hear it. I needed to hear that it's okay to be very dynamic as a person and to have different sides of yourself and to have negative sides that you're not that proud of. And you have your positive sides that you want to show everyone and talk about, you know? So it's just a song about accepting yourself.
Well, it's a beautiful song, a very good anthem for these days. This is your first release since the coronavirus pandemic. How has all this affected your musical projects?
I definitely think Mirror and other songs I've been writing would have been written somehow, but I'm sure the isolation definitely inspired me and my team to write songs like Mirror about self-accepting because self-acceptance because you look at yourself in the mirror every day. You don't see people, you're isolated. I mean, it's been a difficult year for everyone, but I feel very lucky to have been able to actually spend some time at home in Norway. I've had crazy 4 years, so to be able to just be back home for a little bit has been good too.
So there is a little bit of silver lining to all this crazy period we've been in. Let's listen to another track. This is off your 2019 solo album. The song is called Strangers. Take a listen.
Now, like in the movies, our stories after the end, like strangers, perfect pretenders. We're falling head over heels for something that ain't real. It could never be us, it's just you and I. Strangers, perfect pretenders. We're falling head over heels for something that ain't real. It can never be us, it's just you and I.
So that was the song Strangers off Sigrid's solo album from 2019. Now, your debut album really shot you to fame, brought you to tremendous success, especially one song. It's called Don't Kill My Vibe. Now, in this song, you kind of lash out against patronizing, out-of-touch older male writers who tried to pressure your own songwriting. It really turned into kind of an anthem, a millennium empowerment anthem. Is that what you expected when you originally wrote the song?
No, it's so funny that you say it. Yeah, I mean, they had it coming. I had to write a song about it. No, to be honest with you, like me and Martin Shirley, a very good friend of mine, wrote Don't Kill My Vibe, I had no idea what was going to happen with the song. I just knew that I knew it was going to be important for my career, but it's funny because I felt so belittled in that situation, and it was just like I felt like I wasn't respected as a writer in the room. I felt like I was just a young kid from Norway and like, who do you think you are type of attitude, and I didn't like that because I was like, why do you invite me if you don't want to write with me, you know? But it's funny because that song has brought so much confidence to me and been really, really important for me to find confidence in what I do and to write and be on stage and everything. So yeah, I love that song.
Well, you're a very kind of unique kind of pop star. In fact, a lot of people describe you as a pop iconoclast. You're rewriting the rules of what it means to be a pop star, especially a female pop star. How is it that you manage to deal with all this pressure that I imagine you can get within the music industry?
Wow, that's very kind words. Thank you. I don't know. I think I just walked in there and I was a bit like, if I'm going to be an artist, I need to recognize myself in every photo, in interviews. Like I need to do it and see myself. And with that saying, like I think there's so many ways of doing the thing of being a pop star. Or not pop star. Sorry, I don't want to call myself a pop star because I'm not.
Well, you
but
are
I'm
a
a
pop
pop
star.
artist. But I don't know. I don't know. I've just been doing this for a couple of years, but it's really fun. But my point was that I needed to recognize myself in everything I do. But it's a confusing thing. It's a very confusing thing to see yourself on billboards and on posters, and it's like your face like blown up everywhere. It's crazy, and it does something to you. And I don't know. I'm just proud that I'm still here, and I still I still recognize myself after all of it. And I think then I must have done something right to my own brain.
That is a
if
very
I'm still
important
here,
thing to stay true to yourself throughout this crazy period, I imagine. Now, I read that originally you actually wanted to become a teacher or a lawyer because you thought that the music industry was way too up and down. What advice would you give to a young person writing songs in their room who might be a little scared of jumping in themselves? What advice would you give them?
Good question. Yes, I wanted to be a lawyer because I don't know, I had human rights and politics as my favorite subject in school. I was like, save the world. But yeah, here I am doing music. An advice, I guess it's a tough industry. It really is. And I didn't know what the music industry was until I found myself in it. But there's a lot of great people, and I've made some friendships that I wouldn't have due to this. And I have a brilliant team. But I think if you want to, like, if you think that you want to be an artist, I think like you need to really love music, you know? You need to really love to write, to be on stage, or like any like creative part of it. Because for me, that's what like keeps me going, because this is it. Like, this is really what I want to do with my life. It gives me a lot of, it sounds so cheesy, but it gives me so much purpose.
Well, it's wonderful to see you doing it because it makes everyone that's listening to you happy as well. So that's a great thing. Luckily, you chose to go on to the music career as well. You probably would have made a great lawyer. We're just going to move on to some other music news that's making headlines. Here in France, live music venues are gradually opening up after months of lockdown, but there still is a lot of uncertainty about the future of massive outdoor festivals. While some have decided to cancel, others are going ahead, like the Printemps de Bourges. Now, the number of festival goers has been drastically lowered, as has the number of stages, but the lineup of musicians is still very impressive. We've got Catherine Ringer, Feu Chatterton, Pomme, Philippe Catherine, the list goes on. And meanwhile, France's biggest festival, the Vieille Charrue, has announced that festival goers will be allowed to stand and crowd at the front of the stage, but with a limit of 5,000 people per night. So still not quite where things used to be, but it seems like things are slowly getting back to some sort of normalcy. And Sigrid, before all this, you were touring quite a lot. You actually opened for Maroon 5 on their European tour. What is it that you miss the most about live performances?
By the way, listening to this is like my favorite music program ever. This is so cool. I love the setup. But yeah, what I miss about touring, I don't know, the energy you get from a crowd, and to see the songs live, because I do think there's something really special that happens to music when it's played live. I love being in the studio, and I love creating songs and writing with my like writing partners. But when you play it on stage, and like the bass is just not something you hear anymore. The bass is something you feel, and I just think that's a difference when you feel the music through the big speakers. That's special.
I miss feeling that bass and feeling the music and feeling the energy from the crowd as well. So hopefully normalcy will come back before we know it. But let's look at some new album releases. This is the Kings of Convenience, and they are back. They're releasing a fourth album. It's called Peace or Love, their first full-length album in 12 years. Now, the Norwegian duo have also announced a European tour that's going to kick off in September. Let's listen to a track off the album. It's called Rocky Trail. According to the band, it's pop music, but not as we know it.
Maybe you could have told me there was a world on your shoulders that needed lifting. Maybe I could have helped you with that. The weight is not easy, I know, but you never know. I thought your shoes were good. I thought they would take you to the end of any road.
That's the Norwegian duo Kings of Convenience. Very quickly, Sigrid, Those are your compatriots. What is it about Norway that creates such amazing bands that have such international success?
I actually know these guys, and I've listened to this new album on repeat for the past days. I love it. Yeah, yeah. So, Kings of Convenience, yeah, they're from Bergen, and I'm not from Bergen, but I moved there after high school. So, actually, Eirik, the one singer in this band, was one of the first ones to come to like a show I did, and he was like, "You're really good." And I was like, "Oh wow, thank you." And I remember that they're really cool and a huge part of that. Yeah, Norwegian music scene. What is it with us? I don't know, but I do think there's a lot of cool stuff coming out of Norway and Scandinavia, and I think maybe it is like we hear English is not our mother language, and maybe that does something to the music we make. And I will say, like, same French music is so good. It's a lot of great stuff, and maybe it's something in the like having another language as well that makes you listen to music in a different way.
But an interesting secret there to the success of Norwegian bands. We're going to leave you with one last bit of music news. This is from the American singer-songwriter Luki Dacus. She's releasing her third album. It's called Home Video. The 26-year-old rocker combed through old journals to write this beautiful personal record that includes the tearjerker Hot and Heavy, and we're going to leave you with that track. But before we go, I want to thank my guest, Sigrid. Thank you so much for being on the show, and be sure to check out her latest single. It's called Mirror. For more arts and culture news, head to our website and stay in touch on social media. Stay tuned for France 24. More news is coming up right after this.